But the faithful of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church say there's no mystery, really. The churches of Lalibela were built by angels.
Researchers in Ethiopia's mountainous highlands have uncovered a long-lost Bible that has banned passages that have been missing from canonical texts for generations. In addition to casting doubt on our prior interpretations of biblical stories, this discovery reveals long-hidden truths about powerful people. Our investigation into this revolutionary finding will take us to the Ethiopian Bible's beginnings, the contents of its forbidden books, and the far-reaching consequences of revealing these chapters. The exciting find. Deep in the Ethiopian Alps, among hidden monasteries and towering mountains, an archaeological team made a finding that would shake up the worlds of academia and religion. Finding artifacts from the early Christian period was the original goal of the expedition, headed by Dr. Elias Bekele. What they discovered, though, was even more surprising. An Ethiopian Bible that differed greatly from the canonical texts that were known to both historians and Christians. Believed to be hundreds of years old, the monastery where the find was made had been mostly unspoiled by contemporary society. Intricate sculptures and old writings graced its walls, which hid mysteries that time had almost destroyed. The group stumbled upon a leather-bound Bible among the dusty bookshelves and long-lost nooks and crannies. The pages were fragile from age, but miraculously undamaged. Unlike most religious books, this Bible included chapters and verses that are noticeably missing from more popular versions. The crew's enthusiasm and eagerness built as they cautiously transferred the manuscript to their protected lab. Without delay, the importance of this discovery became clear. For political considerations, doctrinal differences, or heretical content, among other reasons, several writings have been removed from the approved canon and are thus considered forbidden. There was a rich tapestry of beliefs and interpretations that had been purposefully concealed, with the existence of such a Bible suggesting a parallel story to the one popularly accepted. How are these forbidden writings distinct from the canonical Bible, and why were they left out of the official story? Cracking the codes of the prohibited books. The ancient Semitic language Ge'ez was employed in Ethiopia for liturgical purposes, according to the early investigation of the Ethiopian Bible. Linguists and biblical scholars well versed in Ge'ez were essential to the translation process because of the enormous difficulty of these materials. The storylines and lessons included in the banned manuscripts differed greatly from the recognized scriptures, as became clear as the translation process began. A shocking discovery was the existence of narratives involving other followers and apostles whose roles were never recognized in the Bible as canonical. The early Christian community looked to these individuals for guidance because of the unique insights they provided into spiritual practices and theology. Also included in the manuscripts were discussions of esoteric rites and mystical teachings that ran counter to the official dogma of the day. In addition, ideas that challenged the established church hierarchy were introduced in the forbidden writings. They advocated for a more democratic system in which different religious groups' unique beliefs and practices could flourish without interference from the state. Both the theological underpinnings and the political strategies that have shaped religious teachings throughout the years were brought to light by this. Research into these writings revealed more than heretical variations. Rather, they provided a full-fledged alternative story that may cause a paradigm shift in how we see the early church. What forces attempted to censor these chapters, and how did they manage to remain hidden for so long? The power struggle in history. Understanding the importance of the banned writings requires delving into the historical backdrop of their suppression. The early church was not a unified body, but rather a complicated and frequently divisive mashup of many ideas and practices. The theological disputes that arose when Christianity expanded to new areas gave rise to competing sects and denominations. In order to determine the canon of Scripture and maintain orthodoxy, early church councils met. Theological, political, and social issues all played a role in shaping these councils. Decisions like this frequently included powerful rulers and political leaders who sought to unite their people behind a shared theological ideology and use it to justify their rule. Suppressing some texts was a calculated attempt to silence criticism and strengthen authority. Books that advocated for egalitarianism, challenged existing hierarchies, or offered alternative theological perspectives were removed from the canon as heretical. This was an effort to keep the narrative under control, and by implication, the people, rather than just to be theologically pure. The Ethiopian Bible, which contains banned literature, is evidence of the turbulent power battles that were prevalent during the early Christian period. It keeps alive previously unheard voices, shedding light on the complex early Christian worldview and the governmental pressures that tried to standardize religious teachings for financial benefit. This forbidden literature enduring impact lies on our ability to comprehend historical power dynamics. How did they stay alive after being oppressed and alone for so long? The preservation journey. Incredibly, the Ethiopian Bible and its banned texts have managed to survive. These sacred texts found refuge in Ethiopia's isolated monasteries and rough landscape. Ethiopia was largely spared the destruction of its historic manuscripts that befell Europe as a result of conflict, iconoclasm, and the Reformation. Because of this seclusion, manuscripts that may have been destroyed or lost forever were preserved. The Ethiopian monastic group's efforts to preserve these writings were painstaking. To ensure that information was carefully recorded and transmitted from one generation to another, monks devoted their lives to copying and preserving manuscripts. A natural defense against widespread devastation and loss was the long and winding road that led to these monasteries, which frequently required navigating challenging landscapes and braving severe weather. Also, appreciating and keeping old writings is something the Ethiopian Orthodox Church has done for a long time. Instead of discarding or destroying sacred manuscripts, their appreciation for them fostered an environment where even forbidden materials were handled with care and respect. Thanks to this cultural value of preserving things, the Ethiopian Bible has survived to this day, with its taboo sections secreted away for the benefit of generations to come. So, cultural and geographical variables play a significant role in the preservation of historical records, as the Ethiopian Bible discovery shows. It highlights the importance of solitude and a long history of manuscript preservation in shielding priceless knowledge from the destructive forces of history and war. In comparison to canonical scriptures, what do these preserved banned writings tell us about the early church? Contemporary understandings of the early church. There is a wealth of new information about the early Christian society included in the banned books of the Ethiopian Bible. These writings show a complex and varied community with a rich tapestry of behaviors and beliefs, in contrast to the typically homogeneous picture of early Christians in canonical scriptures. The appearance of unknown apostles and followers is one of the most momentous revelations. The spreading of Christian ideas and the founding of communities throughout many locations were greatly influenced by these individuals. Their testimonies offer new perspectives on pivotal events, illuminating the theological disputes and competing interpretations that molded early Christianity. The banned writings also cover esoteric and mystical topics that were not included in the official Bible translation. Offering a more personalized approach to faith, these teachings place an emphasis on personal spiritual experiences, inner enlightenment, and direct communication with the divine. Such ideas go counter to the hierarchical and bureaucratic institutions that have grown to dominate modern Christianity. The texts also delve into different liturgical customs and rituals, showing how the early Christians tried to express their religion in different ways. Different sacramental practices and styles of worship show that this community was not dogmatically following anything but a path of spiritual experimentation and evolution. In addition, the banned literature promotes ideas like community life, social justice, and equality, among other social and ethical concerns. It is shown that early Christianity was a considerably more active and progressive movement than is widely believed by contrasting these progressive views with the more conservative positions frequently advocated by established religious institutions. What do you think the reaction of modern academics and religious leaders will be to these findings? Theological consequences. Modern religious discussions are still reeling from the theological ramifications of the Ethiopian Bible's banned sections insertion. These writings provide new viewpoints that might affect theological frameworks by questioning established beliefs. What effect do these banned writings have on the core Christian beliefs is one of the main concerns raised by them. Do these writings provide new ideas that are at odds with current doctrines, or do they deepen and broaden our comprehension of the religion? As opposed to the hierarchical and organized framework of Orthodox Christianity, a more expansive and inclusive theology is suggested by the inclusion of egalitarian ideals and mystical teachings. There are concerns regarding the legitimacy and authority of the canonical scriptures due to the inclusion of extra apostles and disciples in these texts. It is possible that the exclusion of these individuals from the canonical Bible is an attempt to control the narrative and eliminate varied perspectives and vital contributions from early Christian history. Authenticity and relevance of these banned books are today the subject of heated disputes among theological scholars. Some contend that these writings provide a richer and more comprehensive view of spirituality, one that places greater emphasis on individual enlightenment and social justice. On the other hand, some people are worried that adding these books to the canon would cause division and misunderstanding among Christians. Equal rights and community life are two of the many social and ethical ideals espoused in the banned literature, which has resonance with contemporary social justice and inclusion movements. Given this congruence, it is reasonable to assume that these old writings may bridge the gap between old knowledge and present problems by providing useful insights and advice for dealing with modern society concerns. Beyond the realm of academia, the theological implications impact the way believers understand and live out their faith. The forbidding texts call for a critical review of long-held assumptions, paving the way for a richer and more inclusive Christian faith. A new dimension of complexity is added to the unfolding theological arguments by the personal stories of individuals and groups affected by this revelation. Anecdotes from individuals and public opinion. From passionate believers to skeptical scientists, the revelation of the Ethiopian Bible has stirred a diverse array of reactions, leaving a lasting impression on both individuals and communities. By sharing their own experiences, these narratives bring attention to the universality of the intellectual and religious revolution and show how writings from the past can have an impact on the present. A lot of people who believe see the forbidden books as a sign from on high, proof that faith may change and grow with time. For many people, the finding is a confirmation of their spiritual beliefs. They find comfort and guidance in the alternative stories and lessons that match their own life stories. Their ideals are reflected in the book's inclusion of social justice themes and egalitarian ideas, which gives them hope and direction. However, there are individuals in the religious community who are worried and anxious. Traditional teachings might be undermined, and theological confusion could ensue if these banned writings were to be included in the accepted canon, according to their fears. These people are warning others to proceed with caution and stressing the importance of careful academic analysis before contemplating alterations to the holy texts. Curious and skeptical, scientists and historians approach the finding. The significance of the find has been acknowledged by many, but they emphasize the need for thorough investigation to confirm the manuscript's authenticity and comprehend their historical background. Working together across disciplines, such as theologians, linguists, and archaeologists, highlights the importance of upholding academic integrity and the difficulty of deciphering these old texts. The consequences of this finding are not only affecting the immediate community, but also the larger one. In response to concerns and issues voiced by their congregations, religious leaders are arranging forums and talks. These discoveries are being included into school curricula to encourage students to critically engage with the ever-changing field of religious studies. The personal accounts and community responses provided here demonstrate the profound effect that the Ethiopian Bible find had on many people's lives, and how old texts have a lasting effect on modern norms and values. How will this new secret change our perception of the Bible in Ethiopia? And what is it? The reveal of the greatest secrets. Researchers are finally about to reach a consensus on the meaning of the banned chapters in the Ethiopian Bible after months of careful study and heated discussion. These manuscripts have been authenticated by cutting-edge dating procedures, which set them squarely in the early Christian period. Evidence from linguistic studies points to shared roots with other ancient languages and civilizations, implying a global system of information dissemination. At its end, this voyage reveals a previously untold part of human history. one in which culture, politics, and religion are interwoven in ways never seen before. By revealing how ideas and beliefs traveled easily across regions, the prohibited texts show that the early Christian world was more vibrant and interwoven, creating a complex tapestry of thought. The extensive description of an ancient council that existed before the well-documented ecumenical councils is one of the most important findings contained within these writings. Convened in secret, this conference intended to resolve theological disputes and create a Christian framework that was more inclusive and egalitarian. According to the banned literature, this council's conclusions show a more liberal take on church doctrine and government, questioning long-held accounts of church power. Additionally, the writings allude to long-forgotten rites and ceremonies that were fundamental to the early Christians' spiritual life. The symbolic and meaningful nature of these rites provides a window into the experiential and mystical parts of religion that were mostly missing from the canonical texts. Modern religious rituals could benefit from a revitalization of these old customs, which could lead to a more meaningful and intimate relationship with God. It is becoming more clear the importance of the Ethiopian Bible as scientists uncover these ultimate mysteries. Rather than being a simple compilation of banned literature, it serves as an extensive repository of a distinct but legitimate Christian heritage that sheds light on the intricate web of belief, authority, and fellowship in the early centuries of Christianity. The new mystery, unveiling hidden truths. Hidden inside the sacred books is a riddle that, when solved, will reveal an even deeper secret, the enigmatic message at the core of the banned texts. This mysterious message appears to have been handwritten using a code that incorporates mathematical patterns and symbolic language, indicating a degree of complexity and purpose beyond that of simple narrative storytelling. First efforts at decipherment have uncovered clues to as-yet unallocated texts and sites that may hold the key to revealing all of this previously unknown information. In an effort to keep secrets that were too strong or divisive for the general population to know, the text makes reference to a group of academics and scribes who guarded sacred information, passing it down through the ages. The allusion to a hidden sanctuary, the location where the most holy and closely guarded secrets of early Christianity were preserved, is a fascinating portion of the enigmatic message. Many have speculated about possible locations for this haven, with ideas including hidden rooms beneath old monasteries and faraway places that are off-limits to the general public. This new riddle has enormous repercussions. The early Christian spiritual and theological environment may be better understood if the message's decipherment leads to the finding of other banned texts. Additionally, it may reveal myths, traditions, and tenets that have been dormant for a long time, yet might profoundly impact modern religious beliefs and behaviors. Scholars, clergy, and fans are all united in their pursuit of this secret knowledge. A group of people with backgrounds in languages, cryptography, archaeology, and religion are working together to decipher the prohibited manuscripts and reveal their truths. As they venture further into the unknown, the Ethiopian Bible holds the key to unlocking the ultimate truths, and their adventure is sure to lead them there. What does the future of theological studies hold in relation to our comprehension of religious history and the unveiling of this new enigma? What it means for contemporary religion and scholarship? Academic research and individual faith were both profoundly affected by the revelation of the Ethiopian Bible and its secret texts. This discovery has far-reaching ramifications that impact not only historical research, but also religious discourse, interfaith engagement, and personal spiritual journeys today. Scholars have a lot of new information to study and interpret in the Ethiopian Bible. It calls for a broader and more complex view of biblical studies and questions current paradigms. The existence of competing stories and teachings calls into question the standards by which the sacred texts were selected for canonization, opening up a larger discussion over the reliability and credibility of religious writings. If you're looking for new ways to look at religion, the prohibited writings can give you some great new ideas. These writings connect ancient knowledge with modern ideals through their mystical and egalitarian teachings, which are relevant to current movements that promote individual spirituality and social justice. This congruence paves the way for a more inclusive and holistic view of spirituality, by incorporating these old ideas into contemporary religious practices. The knowledge provided by the Ethiopian Bible has the potential to greatly enhance interfaith discourse. The finding encourages a stronger feeling of unity and mutual understanding by highlighting the connections and shared history among many religious traditions. Interfaith dialogues can be deepened, and dialogues between different faiths can be strengthened by delving into the complex and varied nature of early Christianity. The prohibited books offer people a chance to connect with their faith on a deeper level and in new ways. Believers are encouraged to develop a deeper and more personal connection to their beliefs by exploring their spirituality outside the limitations of established doctrines. This can be achieved through alternative narratives and teachings. This has the potential to bring about a more liberated and personalized religious experience, one in which individual enlightenment and communal values may live in perfect harmony. Additionally, the Ethiopian Bible is a living testimony to the flexibility and persistence of faiths. It stresses the significance of recognizing and appreciating different points of view in order to preserve and honor the diversity of human spirituality. Faith, according to this new finding, is dynamic and ever-changing, much like the human experience itself. Upcoming studies and findings. An enormous and continuing effort to comprehend and incorporate its banned writings into the larger fabric of religious and historical knowledge has begun with the discovery of the Ethiopian Bible. Numerous promising avenues for further study and revelation have opened up as scholars have probed the depths of these ancient texts in search of answers. To improve the capacity to decode and analyze the forbidden texts, state-of-the-art technological analysis methods like 3D scanning, artificial intelligence-driven translation tools, and multispectral imaging will be employed. Insights into the content and context of the scriptures can be enhanced by the use of these technologies, which can reveal hidden layers of writing, detailed aspects of manuscript construction, and enable more accurate translations. Research into the interconnection of early religious traditions can be illuminated by comparisons with other ancient manuscripts from many places and civilizations, including the prohibited portions of the Ethiopian Bible. The evolution of religious thought across different civilizations may be better understood by comparing them side by side, which may uncover commonalities, analogous stories, and the impact of other cultures. The enigmatic clues included in the banned texts can be used as a guide for future archaeological expeditions, which can aim to find the hidden sanctuary and other sites of significance. Theological and historical questions surrounding early Christianity may be better answered by the objects and texts that these expeditions seek to unearth. To fully comprehend the Ethiopian Bible, it is necessary to encourage cooperation among specialists in history, cryptography, theology, linguistics, and archaeology. When scientists from different fields work together, they are better able to understand difficult problems, draw broader conclusions about the discovery's relevance, and interpret nuanced findings. Ethical and cultural considerations. It is essential to approach the Ethiopian Bible with reverence for its religious and cultural importance as research advances. To study and disseminate these writings in an ethical and culturally sensitive manner, it is important to engage with Ethiopian academics, clergy, and community members. Working together in this way encourages considerateness of one another and brings new viewpoints to the table, which strengthens the research. A more comprehensive perspective of religious history can be fostered, and educational programs can be improved by integrating the findings from the Ethiopian Bible into public discourse and academic curricula. Publications, seminars, and workshops can spread information, fostering critical thinking and well-informed debates among students, academics, and the broader population. A more in-depth examination of religion and spirituality can be facilitated through theological dialogue and integration when religious communities are engaged in conversation over the prohibited literature. New interpretations, spiritual development, and a more inclusive and dynamic approach to religious practice can all result from theological conversations that incorporate the insights obtained from these writings. A constant reminder of the insatiable human desire for learning is the never-ending race to decipher the Ethiopian Bible. Each new piece of information about this old text brings us one step closer to understanding the complex tapestry of religion, history, and culture that it contains. the effects on society and culture at large. The impact of the Ethiopian Bible's banned texts has spread beyond the realms of academia and religion, touching on other aspects of society and culture. The significance of this discovery permeates all facets of contemporary life, impacting social values, artistic manifestations, and cultural narratives. A resurgence of interest in Ethiopian art, history, and culture has resulted from the publication of the Ethiopian Bible, which has sparked a cultural renaissance. Museums, cultural centers, and educational platforms are presenting programs and exhibits that emphasize the importance of this finding, helping people to better understand Ethiopia's history and the role it played in the development of early Christian theology. Literary, cinematic, and artistic visionaries are finding new forms of expression in the prohibited manuscripts, which include mystical teachings and old stories. Spirituality, individuality, and the pursuit of knowledge are at the center of a new generation of cultural works that have emerged as a result of this merging of traditional knowledge with contemporary artistic practice. Contemporary movements fighting for equality, human rights, and social reform find resonance with the egalitarian values and social justice themes found within the prohibited writings. By drawing on these age-old teachings, activists and community leaders are reinforcing their ideas and showing how these concepts may be applied to contemporary social issues. The Ethiopian Bible encourages mutual understanding and cooperation among people of different backgrounds through its role as a springboard for cross-cultural conversation. This discovery encourages cooperation towards common goals by bridging cultural boundaries and showcasing the shared values and common ancestry across diverse religions and civilizations. It develops a spirit of togetherness and mutual respect. Improving religious studies, cultural studies, and theology, educational institutions are incorporating the Ethiopian Bible's findings into their curricula, leading to a transformation in education. Students are encouraged to think critically and intellectually curious as they interact with a more inclusive and holistic understanding of religious traditions through this integration. The proliferation of internet resources has made it easier than ever to disseminate information regarding the Ethiopian Bible. A democratization of knowledge and global participation in the ongoing research and conversations are made possible by online courses, webinars, and interactive media, which allow persons from around the world to access and participate with the forbidden materials. Ethical considerations. The finding raises questions about how we should handle the distribution and protection of holy books. It makes us think critically about our cultural legacy, the role of intellectual property, and the obligations of contemporary communities to preserve and honor traditional wisdom. By considering these points of view, we can handle religious and historical items with greater care and knowledge. The Ethiopian Bible is more than just a scholarly find. Its wider cultural and social influence proves that. Inspiring a more profound investigation of cultural identity, spiritual beliefs, and societal values, it acts as a link between the past and the present. This complex impact demonstrates how ancient literature continues to have a lasting impact on modern society. Difficulties with ethics and preservation. While the Ethiopian Bible's discovery was revolutionary, it raises important ethical and preservation concerns that must be addressed to guarantee the text's accessibility and integrity. It calls for thoughtful deliberation and joint endeavors to strike a balance between the quest of knowledge and reverence for religious and cultural importance. Efforts to preserve. Due to their fragility, ancient manuscripts require specific preservation methods to stop them from deteriorating any further. Protecting the delicate pages from deterioration requires environmental controls, such as controlled humidity and temperature. Hiring conservationists to care for and repair the manuscripts further guarantees that they will be preserved for the benefit of generations to come. Who has access to the Ethiopian Bible and who owns it is a very difficult question to answer. When developing protocols for the responsible distribution of these materials, it is essential to consult with Ethiopian government officials, religious organizations, and community members. The cultural and theological importance of the texts can be respected through collaborative agreements that enable appropriate access. Navigating the maze of intellectual property rights is an integral part of translating and publishing the banned works. Ethical guidelines should be followed by scholars and researchers working with the Ethiopian Bible to avoid violating anyone's rights. Integrity and confidence in research can only be preserved via cooperative efforts that are both open and courteous. Being sensitive to the Ethiopian Bible's religious and cultural background is of the utmost importance. Cultural sensitivity is essential for scholars studying these writings so that they do not insult or marginalize the communities linked to the manuscripts through misunderstandings or misrepresentations. Respectful and well-informed research and interpretation can be fostered through engagement with religious and cultural leaders. The digitization of the Ethiopian Bible provides a means of both increased accessibility and digital preservation by enabling readers and scholars to interact with the texts without endangering the priceless originals. Nevertheless, meticulous digital preservation is required to guarantee that the digital replicas faithfully represent the original manuscripts. The texts are protected from loss or harm by implementing strong digital archiving techniques. Respect, honesty, and openness must be upheld at all times when researching the Ethiopian Bible in accordance with established ethical guidelines. In order to avoid letting their biases color their interpretations or conclusions, scholars must avoid conflicts of interest. Results are more trustworthy and credible when they undergo peer review and are part of a collaborative research effort. People from the surrounding area can better appreciate and take pride in the Ethiopian Bible if they are involved in its study and preservation. People are more equipped to take part in the care of their cultural heritage when they are involved in community engagement efforts like educational programs and joint research projects. By including all relevant parties, this method deepens the bond between historians and the people whose pasts are being studied. Studying and preserving the banned texts of the Ethiopian Bible requires addressing these ethical and preservation difficulties. By deftly managing these issues, the international community may respect the religious and cultural importance of this finding, while also expanding our knowledge of old wisdom. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey through history and mystery. If you found this exploration as fascinating as we did, be sure to check out our next video and share your thoughts in the comments below.